everyone. My name is Brian Ripley Crandall, if you've not met me, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be faculty liaison for the Center of Academic Excellence at Fairfield University this year. It was extremely rewarding, too, to participate in the midway assessments of teaching, MATs, this year and to meet so many spectacular colleagues. Unfortunately, other responsibilities to the university have kept my time limited. And so participating in a live face-to-face workshop or even doing a live Zoom-to-Zoom workshop wasn't in the cards. But over the last year, I've learned so much about what is possible in digital spaces, especially with teaching and providing the workshops and professional development I do with K-12 teachers and students. And that is why I decided to host a mini show of sorts. Pardon my alliteration, but as a kid, I always paid attention to when my sisters watched Strawberry Shortcake and the peculiar purple pie man of Porcupine Peak came on the air. So I thought today I'd do something different with the title Printing Presentations and Professional Performance, the Pedagogical Possibilities of Padlet. And I am super lucky. I don't have to do this alone. Fortunately, the pelican to my frog, Dr. Susan Densmore James, is in the studio with me from the University of Florida in Pensacola. Susie Q. Thanks for hanging out with me today. How you doing?
It's great to be here, and I'm excited, although I am online, to have the opportunity to meet the faculty at Fairfield University. And Brian and I are excited to share with you what we've learned over the past really 2 years about instruction and using the online tool Padlet for both instructional use and professional development use. So we've been not only working with a tool called Padlet, but we've been writing about it. And we know that it's important to not only share what we learn with our students, but to share with academics across the nation. And so I'm excited to do that.
Yeah, and I agree. Susie and I were presenting together in Texas to teachers when the first cases of COVID arrived. And both of us came back to our home states and realized we're going online. We're going to have to figure out how to do this work because the tremendous consequences are going to affect us all, especially our summer programs when we work with teachers and youth. Susie and I have been critical friends for years, so we kind of beat each other up over our instruction and what we can do to be better practitioners and educators and scholars. And through our conversations one time, Susie told me she's using Padlet to develop an advanced institute for teachers. And I was like, what are you talking about? What the heck is Padlet? And that's when she shared her Padlet via Zoom and showed me how she was arranging an asynchronous institute for teacher leaders in her area, and it was totally online. I immediately knew I needed to learn how to use Padlet for myself. And since the two of us have worked independently and collaboratively on the potential of Padlet for our leadership and our teaching. And that's what this workshop is about. Even though it's online, it's digital, and you guys will not be face-to-face with me as we talk to you. You're going to get this on your own. So it's what we wanted to offer you as a possibility for your own courses this upcoming semester and beyond.
And I couldn't imagine, as Crandall knows, I could not imagine offering professional development to, usually I have 50 teachers during the summer, doing it all online. I was a bit concerned about it, not even a bit. I was a lot concerned about it, but there were a lot of surprising outcomes to this that I will share with you. And one of them is that I learned a lot about myself and my own practice.
That's awesome. So we might slow down our excitement about Padlet and just dig in and share some Padlets with you. And then I plan to give you some instructional spacing to go through this like weird CAE workshop at Fairfield University that is going to be from your home, I imagine. Padlet is simply a tool, and it's the tools are only used by educators to help you be a better instructor. So I think talking through a few possibilities will help us and be beneficial. So we're going to start with something simple, and I'm going to ask Susie, how did you hear about Padlet, and can you share a little bit about that advanced institute that you showed me the first time I saw Padlet? And you're welcome to share your screen.
Absolutely. I think this will give you a good idea about how it can be used, because I used it in many different ways. Okay, so basically what I did is I had us get grounded in what we were going to be doing for the 80 hours. We looked at writing practices. We looked at reading practices, because those two go hand in hand. And I was trying to really figure out a way that we could, continue with the practices that we believe in with the National Writing Project, which is the teachers teaching teachers model and writing together, which will encourage them to write side by side with their students and talking about writing and talking about books. And so, surprisingly, as you can see here, we would meet each day to write in the day and write out the day. And for those that couldn't attend, they at least had the video, the Zoom. And this is one component that, is extremely important to our professional development. And another part of this is that daily I would talk about books. And so the feature of being able to talk to them about new and current titles that they could use in their classroom to help them create a diverse set of text in their classroom. I was able to do that, and to share, some of the things that they were dealing with during COVID, which is, now what are the rules for read alouds? Are they able to do that in their classes? And here was one of the unexpected twists in all this. I finally realized that I was the one that was doing all the sharing. And with Padlet, I invited teachers around the area to share what they had been reading. And this was a big aha moment for me because I realized, it's important for everyone to share their stories. It doesn't need to be coming all from me. And it did allow for there to be a more collaborative spirit within my institute. And, I pulled up videos that we could discuss. You can pull in things from online like TED Talks. It's all there for them in a filing cabinet of sorts. And then I still was able to invite authors of young adult lit. And here's one of a new author named James Bird, where he could talk about his books and his process in writing. So as you can see, there are unlimited possibilities by using an organizational system like Padlet.
Can you tell us a little bit? Because what caught my attention when you did this was the categories that you had at the top, the way you framed the thinking for your professional development. And I know we're going to talk about this with how we use this to design our courses too. How have you used those frames, those top lines, to kind of like that filing cabinet or like that museum walk of material? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. And this is one of the true pros of using this tool, if you will. You can come up with categories up at the top, and it's so easy. If I can do it, anybody can do it because I am technologically challenged. But you can move things around and you can rename those headings. It allows you to sort things in your mind. But I basically use the headings that I would normally use within the Institute, sharing the information that I had on my outline for the 80 hours of instruction. And, it led me down some interesting paths because, it kind of allowed me to revisit what I had done and think about what my instruction was missing.
So that inspired me at Fairfield University. And we are going to talk a little bit more about how we do use this instructionally with our classes as well. I saw that and I began to think, if we're working from home and I'm a visual learner and we can have students go to these, or teachers in our case, go to these different links, and then in Zoom breakout rooms, we can have conversations about what we just witnessed. It's a great organizational tool. So I'm going to have Susan stop sharing her screen, and then I'm going to share mine right quick. And this is, I had a grant with National Park Service, and we usually do it just with Connecticut teachers, but as a result of Padlet and because of doing online asynchronous learning, I realized that Padlet could help us. And so this is just a real quick overview. Richard Novak is a teacher at Fairfield Ward. Kristen is a ranger, Lessard, I should say, Kristen Lessard at Ware Farm National Historic Park. And then the National Writing Project was involved too. Now, Susan and I are both interested in we need diverse books in the hands of our kids. And so I, for this particular program, chose to work with Nick Stone's Shuri, which is a retelling of the Black Panther, but from Shuri's perspective. And because we did that, we were able to kind of have teachers go through these different areas, like what we could talk to them and record things and give them the slideshow for the day one. And then we were able to give them articles we wanted them to read. Here was all information about the park, and then the rangers were able to talk to the teachers. Here were National Writing Project resources, because we were also using the National Day of Writing. Here was the work with Nick Stone Shuri and what we wanted teachers to do. And we were able to interview her for a radio show, which was great. And she's talking about her book. We had writing prompts put here for the teachers to do, and they actually shared these with students, which is great. Then we started providing a network, which was excellent for the teachers to kind of, collaborate what they wanted to have. And that was just year one, and I was just playing around with it. But then I realized this is professional development. What about teaching? Nick, like, what can it do for our classrooms? And I know how I organize my thinking, but Susie, you've been doing this a lot longer than I have. Can you share your screen and show how you've been using it with your teaching?
Absolutely. And it's amazing. I think, I had this realization that all of a sudden, oh my goodness, I can use this in my university courses. And I mean, it works extremely well. Um, there we go. How's that? Okay, great. So probably many of you teach using modules. Um, and basically, what I did with this course is start with, I use a reflections interactive notebook. That was my work that I did with my dissertation, and something I believe strongly in. So I brought that practice in and basically used that as the basis along with the textbook. I use 180 days for my English Ed course and had them basically work with me. That's what's so wonderful about this, collaboratively, to summarize what they learned in their courses. And so this was a realization for me. We know that students know what they know by writing it and by saying it. And too many times we're giving them those multiple choice true false tests that are easy to grade. But yet when you open it up and you write together side by side, you can basically come up with the main points in the readings. And I mean, that's a great way to assess what they're learning and know what you need to do as far as, your lectures and changing your instruction a little bit. And then I would give them assigned readings. We read from a wide diverse group of books. We read about challenged books in YA, and we read from middle grades text and from high school text. And I gave them choice. And I gave them little projects to do. And what was amazing about this, like in module 1, I had them create a stick figure and write about the characters they were reading about and pull in text evidence. So I was able to model instruction for them for the classroom, but they were also teaching me through the way that they were responding, and I was blown away by this. I feel like it became more inclusive. It drew the students in the class together. And I learned through trial and error, you see, this is a lot, this is overwhelming, but this is my brain. This is the way I operate. Brian will tell you that.
Yeah, operates
But you can collapse these so that under module 1, you only have one slide that opens up like a file cabinet and has all the documents within that. And it looks less messy, if you will. So I basically, did it by module, organized by module. I still was doing my read alouds. I was posting videos for the read alouds. If I was in person, of course, I would do this in person. So it's not just something that you can use in an online environment. It's something that you can use in a face-to-face course. And I really like that. It allows you to continuously assess the instruction that you are giving. You can still give them writing prompts like in module 3. I gave them an example of sketching a floor plan, and using that idea for planning a personal narrative. I still included read alouds that I could find online from authors like Jason Reynolds. And you can even design it so that you have one block that has what they need to be doing that week. So I think it really keeps them focused on the purpose of what they're doing and what's involved for the week. And so as you can see, I have, and this is something that's kind of funny, Brian, that'll make you laugh, but you know how my head works. This follows the textbook of how we learn about informational writing, argumentative writing. I give them projects here to do for their young adult books that they're reading. I even have a little bit of self-care in there because as we know over the past 2 years, I think we all need a little bit of that. But I have a filing cabinet here to file. These are new items that I have found that I want to incorporate into the course, but I haven't had time to place them. So, it really does allow you to get into that continuous improvement mode for your courses. And, I couldn't be happier with the results that I've had because I'm now seeing, for instance, let me share another one where students are also using this to organize themselves for their teaching. And this is one of my students that organized in her own way. So there still can be room for, choice and how their minds think, but she's organized the resources I've given her into 9-week periods and has pulled in many lessons from grammar. So most of these are resources I shared. She just chose to organize them in a different way that makes sense to her.
And that's
Which
what I
I
think. That's what I think. I think this Padlet is because I'm thinking our audience today they could be scientists, they could be chemists, they could be biologists, they could be economists, they could be historians, they could be political scientists. We have it all at Fairfield University, and all of us teach different content and have to deliver that content to our students in the ways that are most effective. And so when you shared all this with me, I don't use modules because my courses aren't online. They just had to be put online in the last year, so I had to adapt quickly. And so now I use it when I'm in person or if I'm digitally online because it's just effective. And so if you'll stop sharing your screen, I'll just give an example of how I use it. So this is from a course this last fall for content area literacy, which are the math students and science students and history students and English students who are going into teaching, and they have to start thinking about designing their own courses. But this course focuses on reading and literacy, right? So I start out by going on the Padlet, and I just simply put the dates: class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5, all the way there. You'll see soon now, right? Like, because there's that, that's Thanksgiving, so I have a dancing turkey because it's very interactive, right? There you go. But what I've been able to do is I put I just lost myself. I put all of my materials on there so that it's a go-to place. Students no longer email me about, can you send this? Can you send that? They know where to go, right? So, my syllabus is on there so that I constantly check the syllabus. It's on the syllabus, look back at the syllabus. So it's interactive and you can see that. And then we started with like the first day activities and things that I wanted them to do, all that stuff. Because I want to model what I preach in the We Need Diverse category, books, And we use Elizabeth Acevedo's Clap When You Land as a shared reading. And what does that have to do with math? What does that have to do with science? What does that have to do with history, right? What does that have to do with literature? And we constantly asked ourselves, well, if we had to teach this from our content areas, how would we approach it? And so that's kind of what I use thematically. And I started with the fact that I knew nothing about the Dominican Republic, and my students didn't know much either. And so this particular book is about the plane crash that happened right after 9/11, and it's a really cool story. So we started, like, I would share things that they could do with their own learning, so that we could like see, how do teachers get kids to gain access to information that they know they didn't have before, and so how do you fill in those ignorance gaps, and so that's what the theme was. And any one of these presentations, that you can go through, the students have it there, it's available to them. These are the step-by-step activities that we did along the way. I'm pulling in materials from the research, my own research. I'm pulling materials from our course reading as we go along the way. And so it's also good too, because we have, like, the students, they present their own literacy lineage. So this is like a student presentation. We're fetching your file. I'm not sure if it's there you go. So I can go through the students' materials that they presented to the class. We upload that there so students can see it too. So it's really an effective tool for just organizing my courses in a visual way, so that the students can stay aligned with what the activity is. And you'll see down here, I even uploaded the idea forms there so they could do that last night. And that was our celebration. Yeah. So I love this tool. And I'm so thankful that you were here to help us, Susie, get an introduction. And I know how busy are. I know how exhausted you are. I know that we talk all the time. Wonder Twin powers, activate. And I will probably be talking to you later today about something else. I thank you for introducing Padlet to me, because now I'm able to introduce it to faculty. And I'm going to be bringing, like, a little bit more instruction into a Padlet about Padlets, which is going to be kind of fun. Any final thoughts from you?
No, but what I noticed, I had several emails from kids the first semester that I used this, and a lot of them were pulling their syllabi from all their classes and creating their own Padlet about the courses that they were taking. I found that fascinating. So I mean, you saw, I don't have the creative genius that Crandall has. I don't make things as pretty because I'm not that type of artist. But it doesn't have to be that way. You're pulling in so many different resources. And I think the thing that made the strongest impact on me is that it allowed students to tell their own stories, to share their own stories. And I think that's something that I really have been faulty in. And I'm glad that, this time behind this computer has taught me something that's very important.
Yeah, and
So,
I think building community is what it's been about for me in these digital spaces, because you know how you do it in person. You know how you
right,
arrange a class. It's been a little bit trickier in online spaces, but we learned that Padlet communicates well with Google Docs, with Google Jamboards. So anything you do on Google, you just copy the link and you paste it into the Padlet, and it's there. It's just available
right,
to you.
right,
And so if you have something that you would normally pass out in a class in person, and they would read it on their own, instead I say, turn your screens off for 10-15 minutes and read this article I just sent to you. When we come back to the breakout rooms, you'll see on Padlet that there's 5 or 6 questions that I want you to talk about. They go into breakout rooms, I monitor their conversation, and then I'm able to come back and go, okay, let's move along on Padlet. The next thing I want you to do, and it's a lot more visual and interactive than me talking at them for the entire
right.
2 hours of a Zoom session. And so Padlet's been my savior. It's been like we joked about it. It's been a landing pad. It's been a digital notebook. It's been a padded room to keep us from going insane. It's definitely been awesome. But again, it's a tool. It's just something that we use to supplement our pedagogy. And so,
And, as busy as we are as academics, I think that this is really helpful to just frame your thinking and to share your thinking, and then to have students respond, because they can respond on Padlet too. And I think that's something we failed to kind of mention, but they can share documents and you can approve them if you want to do that. It just, it really built a community that I really did not expect. I basically was using Padlet for survival, and it turned out to be one of the greatest things that has happened to me instructionally. So, and I'm very happy that Brian worked with me and taught me some ways to use it that I didn't think of. So hopefully one day I can come up and meet some of you personally. I've been saying I want to get up there for a long time, and I appreciate you giving me time to share my passion with you today.
That's awesome. Finger snaps. Woo, woo, happy dance. All right. Go enjoy. What's the temperature down there in Florida today?
It is about, well, let me tell you exactly. It is 74 degrees
Of course
today.
it is. We're pretty warm up here. It's almost 50, but it's
I
gray. So,
know.
all right. Love you, Susie Q.
Love you too. Have a great day and have a great semester, Fairfield.